Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. Well, today I am going to talk about and create sort of a sister video to one that I've already done. I did a video several months ago. Most of y'all have probably seen it. It's been a really high viewed video, but it was around where I buy my yarns, mainly focusing on cone yarns with a few more thrown in, but I really primarily focused on getting cone yarns because I had a lot of questions about that. Well, questions that I am now getting, and also conversation that I'm seeing in the community itself, is around how do I not break the bank and knit, right? Things are getting so expensive. And I'm on a fixed budget. I can't afford all of these really expensive yarns that I hear all these designers or all these influencers talk about. But I still want to knit, and I don't want to have to just use acrylic. Now, let me say this. There is nothing wrong with acrylic. I do understand there are people out there that are, it is bad for the environment. I'm not having that debate. And I'm not going to tell you which side I fall on either, right? But I'm just going to say that for some people, whether it is because of cost or it is because of, sensitivity or allergy to wool or other fibers, sometimes acrylic is the only option. So I try to be very, very non-judgmental about what someone else uses. I am a professed yarn snob. I love my yarn. I love cashmere. I love silk. I love all of these luxurious fibers. But you know what? I also use acrylic if the need is there to knit a baby knit or something else. And I never, ever, ever judge anyone else by the yarn that they use, because my situation is not their situation. And I'm not walking in their shoes, so I have no right to judge them on what they're using. So I just want to say that this is not a video about, oh, acrylic is bad. That is not what this is. But there are people who would like to knit and use natural fibers, but they feel like that they're prohibitively expensive. So I'm going to give a few tips and tricks, and I did bring some yarn as some examples. And I am going to talk about, like, what could you do to try to not break the bank, not have to choose between knitting or eating, right? But still be able to use the natural fibers, the nicer fibers, not, or just, hey, I don't always want to have to knit with acrylic. I'm okay with it, but I'd like to be able to knit with wool every once in a while. All right, so if this sounds good to y'all, buckle up and we will get started. Well, just like in the last video, the very first place I am going to send you is to your local yarn store. The reason I'm going to send you to your local yarn store is a lot of times they will have sales. And for instance, this is a colorway of Holsgarn Coast that I have been eyeing. I thought it was really pretty. I was like, I think I want to do like a long sleeve tee in that. And I think that this color would be a nice one. I could even hold it with some mohair or some alpaca or something. But I really think that I'd like this in my stash. Well, I kept hemming and hawing and I didn't buy it. Well, Letha has had this coast, not just this color, but other coast, for a while now. And she decided that for local yarn store days, she would put it on sale for 30% off. And I snagged 3 of these balls. I already had one in my stash. So the reason why I'm sending you to your local yarn store first is a lot of yarn stores will have sales. There is somebody in the Tolsta Tea chat that has this beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, yarn called Soft Lino by Lane Denord. It's gorgeous, and she was talking about just how soft it is and everything. I was like, ooh, that looks nice. Well, she got it for 30% off at her yarn store, and they are online. I did go look. There is not enough of any colorway that I liked that would be enough to do a t-shirt, but it was down to like $8 from $13 or $14 ball. So that is a nice discount, and that is a way to save money and still be able to get those yarns that have the blends that you want. Okay, so start there first. Another trend that I'm seeing at some local yarn stores are that they will have a free library. So kind of like, you know, there are these little free libraries of books where you can go and take a book or put a book. Some yarn stores are starting to have that at their shop. It's a great place for somebody who, let's say I bought a sweater quantity of yarn and I thought I was going to love it and I don't love it. Now I want to get rid of it, but I don't really want to have to sell it and I don't want to just donate it to, you know, like the local Goodwill, not knowing what's going to happen to it. And I can only give so much to the senior center. Let me tell you, they are overflowing with yarn. So where better than to take it to a knit shop where it's going to go to somebody who actually wants to use it to knit, and they would probably be very, very glad to get it. Or, you know, you have an extra ball of yarn left over, etc. So check at your local yarn store. There is also a yarn store in the Minneapolis area. It's called Darn Knit It. I love that name. It's a great little yarn store, but they do a sale twice a year. And I think it's up to 50% off, where they look at everything in their store and they say, this has been on our shelves for a year and it hasn't moved. We're going to put it on sale. You can get some really great bargains that way. I know that it is in person first and then stuff goes online. So I think, you know, if you're in person, you're going to get access to more stuff than just being online. There are other places that do porch sales where they'll put out like a bag of yarn that just hasn't been selling, and you can get a really great deal on it if you buy the whole bag. Sometimes you can find, you know, surprise bags where you aren't sure what's in there, but you know, it'll say something like, oh, it's all wool. I know Fleece and Harmony did something similar to this where they put like a little grab bag and it did say like, this is all wool. I don't know if it listed colors. It might have said, you know, reds and purples or something. There's other places that do this. JC Rennie online, they have a thing where you can get, basically it's cones that they don't have enough to spin off whatever, and so you can get a 1 or 2 kilogram box. It's a really great price, but you're going to have a lot of ends to weave in, and you can't specify your colors, but you can ask like, could I have autumnal colors, and they'll try to meet that. So not super cost effective if you're overseas, because that shipping gets really expensive really fast. But if you're in Europe, that would be somewhere that you could look at. If you're in Europe, you probably have access to more economical yarns anyway, because you have, you know, it just is cheaper over there. All right, now, what else can you do? Because you may be sitting there going, that's great, but my LYS doesn't really do that. Or I don't have an LYS near me. So what am I supposed to do? There are a lot of places that you can get some pretty economical yarn online. And I will tell you, sign up, sign up, sign up for every newsletter. And I am going to reach back here and I'm going to grab this bag to show you this. I got this bag. Now, I did buy one to check out the color first, but I got this bag of 5 Rowan Kid Silk Haze. This is mohair. If you go look at, say, Woolen Company, it's $20 a ball for Rowan mohair. Not everybody is in the financial bracket or has the extra funds to be able to afford $20 a ball. Well, I got an email. I sign up for everybody's newsletters. So I got a newsletter email from Little Knit saying, hey, we have bought out, there are discontinued colors by Rowan. We have bought a huge amount of that and we are discounting it. I got all 5 balls for $40. That is less than $10 a ball. That is what, it's $8 a ball. That is less than half. So I think it was like a 60% discount. That is a huge savings. Huge savings. And they routinely will do this. When I think it was Shopple, or maybe it wasn't Shopple. Who was it? It was, there is a yarn company that stopped producing yarn. Or it's a sock yarn company. They stopped producing yarn. And Little Knits went in there and bought the entire stock, and then they're discounting it. you can get some really nice yarns for fairly cheap. You have to, A, sign up for their newsletter so that you will get notified, and B, you have to be fairly quick because they do sell out. It's a good way, though, if you've been looking for some yarn and you just haven't been able to pay the price that they've requested. A lot of it is discontinued colors, or it's a discontinued line of yarn. Some of it is a big yarn store went out of business and they bought their stock, and so they have stuff. So they do have stuff that is also currently available other places. Little Knits is a great resource. And I will tell you, my friend Lisa is who told me about that. So I want to give her credit. And I love Little Knits. I don't buy from them super often because I don't need that much yarn. But I really appreciate the fact that they are able to do something like that by, you know, buying a huge quantity and then discounting it for their customers. All right. Another online place. And I'm going to reach back here and I'm going to grab this. Knit Picks routinely, at least twice a year, does a 2-4-6 sale. And there will be yarns that are on for $2 a ball, yarns that are on for $4 a ball, yarns that are on for $6 a ball. And now this is Wool of the Andes worsted weight, and I did get it on like a 10% or 20% off sale. I think this cost me about $30 or $40 for this cone. And this is the worsted weight, but I have bought sweater quantities of the sport weight for $2 a ball. And so that does bring it down. You're looking at, if I need 10 balls, that's $20. And their normal price is $4.99 or $5 basically. So that's a really big discount. It's not every color when they do that. It is selected colors. And you got to be fast, because last year I put some in my cart and I thought about it, and before I could pull the trigger, half of it went out of my cart because they were sold out. So again, sign up for the Knit Picks newsletter. Cannot stress that enough. Sign up for newsletters. All right. Let's see. A couple of other, one more website that I'm going to talk about specifically. And this is around like Black Friday sales. And I'm going to caveat this with, do not come at me about talking about Hobie and the AI thing. Again, this is just about where you can buy some affordable yarn. And I bought this yarn last year for Black Friday. And isn't that just beautiful? And I believe that on sale they were $3 a ball. So you see, I think I have 7 of them. So you're talking, what, $21 for a top. That, for me, is affordable. And then they also had a thing going on. I did buy enough that it tripped me over. If you spend $49 US, it is free shipping. They also, around Black Friday, will run free shipping things where you can go and buy. They'll have sales. And then you can put in this code and you'll get free shipping. So again, sign up for those newsletters. But Hobie does run a lot of sales. I will tell you, their Black Friday sales are the best ones. And they are good about letting you stack discounts on top of sales items so you can get things pretty cheap. Keep in mind, this is hit or miss. And like I said, Black Friday is the best. So sign up again for that newsletter. Now, I'm going to switch and I'm going to talk about a yarn brand. And I am going to talk about a yarn company, an online yarn company as well. And I think they are a brick and mortar within the UK. But they for sure have an online presence and they ship all over the place. I don't know what shipping is anywhere outside of the United States. Okay? But what I want to talk about is Drops Yarn. I hear people complain about it. I don't know how they source their yarn. Most of their yarn does say that it's ethical and it's been certified, at least what I've seen online. But they have some really nice yarns. This is 100% alpaca. This is a 50-gram ball, and I'm trying to see how much it has in it. It has 167 meters. So it's a sport weight. And routinely, they put these on sale. Drops puts stuff on sale constantly. Every single month they have a different blend of yarns. Follow them on Instagram because that's where they announce them. But anywhere that carries drops will be doing this sale, like Wool Warehouse, Lindy Hobby, Rito. And they will put them on sale, and I think that this usually goes on sale for less than $3 a ball. So when they do that, it's a nice way to get a really pretty alpaca. You could hold this with something else, or you could knit it by itself, or you could hold it double. I am actually going to, I have a sweater quantity of this in several colors, but one of them I'm going to be making the, oh, I forgot the name of it. It is, I think maybe, no, it's not the Flora Delino. It is one of Isabel Kramer's sweaters that she holds double in the M-Yak lace, and it creates a sport, and this will be a good substitute for me. And it was a lot cheaper. M-Yak lace is pretty expensive, and I mean that's a little bit too bougie for me. It's a little bit out of my cost range because I only do garments. So I haven't pulled the trigger on buying a sweater quantity of that yet. I keep thinking one of these days they're going to run a big enough sale that I will, or I'll be in person somewhere and I will see it and I will not be able to resist. But for now, I have not done it, and so I'm going to substitute with this. Now, Drops has a lot of different yarns. It's not just the alpaca. I have another one here. This is Drops Bell. This is a cotton linen viscose mix. I have 10 balls in this bag. I paid $17 for it when it went on sale. It routinely goes on sale for $1.70 a ball. And they have some colorways that other yarns that have the same composition don't have. And so I tend to gravitate towards those. I don't buy all of the colorways in Bell. But it is a very economical yarn, and I really like it. I've got a top out of it, and I really, really like how it wears. I like how it knit up. I didn't have any problems with the yarn at all. Very, very economical. Again, sign up for newsletters. I have a newsletter from Rito. I have a newsletter from Lindy Hobby. I have a newsletter from Wool Warehouse, and they send me things too saying, hey, the Drop Super Sale is going on. These are the things that are on sale this month. With Lindy Hobby and Rito, you don't have to be as worried about them selling out. Wool Warehouse sells out a lot because, and this is where I'm going to talk about their website. Their shipping to the United States is roughly $6 US. It's $3.99 pounds, and I think that usually is around $5 to $6 once you do the conversion. And so that is really, really great shipping, and it's up to 2 kilograms. So you can get a whole lot of yarn, and it is that much, right? So that's great shipping overseas. Most shipping that I've seen overseas, the cheapest I've seen is 20 bucks. So, well, not the cheapest, because Lindy Hobby is $14 and Rito starts at $12. But like a lot of them start at $20 or go up. So if you're comparing, right, and you're going to do a sale and you're like, hey, this is the same cost of the yarn at all 3 places, Wool Warehouse does have the cheapest shipping. Now, they don't have all of the brands that Lindy Hobby and Rito have, and vice versa. So some of it could depend if you were like, well, I also want to get this yarn from Lindy Hobby that is on sale, because they also have a sale, and so does Rito. They have sales every month besides the drops. So, for instance, Do Store Alpaca. Oh, if you were like, hey, their Stirk, which is a alpaca wool blend, is also on sale this month, and it's, 30% off, and I want to get that as well. You're already going to pay that shipping. Go ahead and just get your drops there instead of ordering that from Wool Warehouse and then something else from Lindy Hobby. Right? So really, you have to look at, it's more than just the cost of yarn. You have to look at tariffs, and you also have to look at shipping. And the tariffs coming out of Wool Warehouse are 10% because they're coming from England. They're 15% when they're in Denmark or Norway. All right. Now, I'm going to switch now and go to some economical yarns in the U.S. One of my very, very favorite economical yarns to use that is a U.S.-based yarn is the Cascade. Specifically Cascade 220, but all of Cascade, their alpaca, their bamboo, I forget the name of it, but they're all very, very reasonable. I won't say that they're really economical like the drops, right? But they're very, very reasonable, and you're not going to have to pay tariffs on it. You're probably not going to have to pay shipping, because if you don't have a local yarn store that carries this, Wool Warehouse does carry all of this, and they do free shipping. So Cascade is one of my favorites. I think that they are really, really well priced. Barocco is right there as well. They're pretty mid-range, well priced. And then another way that you can get some United States yarn and not completely break the bank. Now, I'm saying this, to me, this is reasonable. It may be out of somebody else's pocketbook range, but you can always save, is go to festivals and focus on the farm stands. This is 100% undyed wool that Ozark, now I have forgotten the name of the company. I will put it down here. I think it's Ozark Highlands wool. This is their wool. They raise the sheep, they shear the sheep, they send it off to get it spun. This is squishy, it is soft, it is beautiful. I love this yarn, and I believe that this was around $16 a ball. That may not sound very economical to a lot of you, but when you're looking at a lot of places, you know, when you're talking about hand-dyed yarns and stuff like that, they are $30 and up. I mean, La Bien Ami is like $40-something for a skein of yarn. I don't buy them either. But this is beautiful. And it was, to me, an economical yarn. I got a nice sweater quantity, and it did not completely break my bank. Now, other things that you can do besides, you know, having to go out and order yarn and having to do all of that. I mean, obviously you can save. You can say, hey, I want this specific yarn. I'm going to do this specific pattern. I know I'm going to need this much yarn. This is what the cost is going to be. If I put back $5 a pay period, it's going to take me this long to save it, or whatever you can. There are apps out there. I know PayPal has it where you can pay over time. You can split it into like 3 or 4 payments. They don't add interest like a credit card would. So if you are like, hey, here's a $100 purchase and I can't afford $100, but I could afford $30, you know, or $33 every 2 weeks, look into doing something like that, because that could be an option. Now, I want to talk about something else now that a lot of people don't think about when they're thinking about buying yarn and staying on a budget. There's 2 things I want to talk about. One is blends. I know that a lot of people don't like just pure alpaca or just pure acrylic. I'll be honest, I don't like just pure acrylic on my skin either. I just don't like how it feels. I kind of feel the same way about superwash, but I don't just love acrylic just to wear acrylic. But there are some really nice blends out there that are like a wool acrylic or an alpaca acrylic that has enough acrylic in it to make it much more economical than something that was 100% wool or 100% alpaca. But yet it's still, because you've got the wool or the alpaca in it, it still has a nice hand feel and it feels much nicer, and you get kind of the best of both worlds. And those blends can be a lot cheaper. So don't just be like, oh, acrylic bad, right? I mean, maybe you are, and that's fine. But look at, if you don't want just acrylic, look at some of the blends, because there are some really nice blends out there. All right. And then finally, places that you can find yarn and get one heck of a deal on some really high-end yarns. D-stashes. I got 2 cones of Harrisville Shetland yarn that retails for $26.50 a cone for $11 a cone. And that was a huge discount. And even when you added in shipping, I think shipping was $8.99, so it was like $30.99 or something. So that was still about the price of 1 cone. So about a 50% discount. So look at D-stash sites. There is a D-stash site on Ravelry. It's called, or Reddit, called Yarn Swap. Also look on Ravelry on stashes. Don't be afraid if it says it's not for sale. Just email the person, send them a message on Ravelry and say, hey, would you be willing to sell this? The worst they can do is say no. Or you could have somebody like me that says, oh yeah, I would sell that to you and I'll make you a great deal because I want to replace it with a different color, and I can do that because it's on sale somewhere. So just reach out and ask. You never know. And somebody may be like, you know what? I'm done with this and I've got too much. And yes, I'll give it to you for, dirt cheap because I just want it out of my house. Look there. Go to thrift shops. And I'm not talking about grabbing a cashmere sweater and thrifting it. I mean, that is valid. But I'm talking about just go look for yarn, because a lot of times somebody like me with a very large stash will pass away. And there's a lot of really nice yarn, but the people who inherit and have to come in and clean out that house, they don't know anything about yarn. And they just give it all to Goodwill or all to Salvation Army or Potter's House or wherever your local thrift store is. Savers up in the Northeast, right? Check there. You may not find anything, but you may walk in one day and hit the jackpot and find that, oh my gosh, I can get a sweater quantity of cashmere for $10 because these people don't know what they have. Go look, right? We've all heard those stories. Another place to look is estate sales. Surprisingly, that can be a huge place. I just saw something on Reddit where somebody had gone to an estate sale and bought, it was like 10 boxes of yarn or something like that, for $100. And they were digging through and they had all of this high-end, luxurious, beautiful yarn, and they were just thrilled. So look at those places. All right. I would love to hear if you have any tips or tricks for saving money without, being able to knit on a budget, without breaking the bank, saving money, and not having to limit yourself to just acrylic. So let me know if y'all have any tips, or if y'all know of somewhere that has great sales all the time. Which leads me to something I did forget. Google, people. Google is your friend. I went out and Googled a yarn that I was looking at, and I was like, well, this is kind of expensive. I'm not sure that I want to pay that cost. I wonder if I can get it any cheaper. Well, I did go out there and I found another yarn store, and this is something that is not carried anywhere around here, but I found it at another yarn store that was about $3 a skein cheaper. Well, for my sweater quantity, that adds up. It's about $35 cheaper. So go out there and Google the yarn, see what is around you, and see what prices you have. But make sure that it's in the country you're in, because I do get sucked in sometimes where I'll see cost. I'm like, whoa, yeah, that's a great cost. And then they're in Canada. So I'm going to have to add tariffs. I'm going to have to add international shipping, or they're overseas or whatever. So you can also put in, your specific country. This yarn, Australia, this yarn, US, this yarn, Europe, whatever. All right, and yes, I do know Europe is a continent, not a country, but just using that for ease. All right, guys, just let me know any tips or tricks that you have, or what your experience has been trying to find economical ways to knit. All right, hope this was helpful. And again, as I always say, I hope y'all have a great knitty week until I see you again.